1, 2, 3.
Let's see if my info.
Video on this too, yeah?
Hey man, we are full service, Mr. Brett Harris. What was it like when there was no video and you knew that you could always just talk and say what you wanted, and we didn't know it was going to show up on YouTube someday?
It is so true, because back in the radio days, it's like you dressed for radio and you had for radio, and I was in the but it quickly changed. You had to put on a halfway decent shirt, but that's my former life.
Yeah, I know, but it was, and it's perfect now, because now you do want to put on the shirt and show everybody that.
Oh yeah. See, that is the Cannabliss logo.
I don't even know where that here. Where is it? Where are we looking at there?
Cannabliss.
Tony Tadero, get it. There it is. Yeah, get it. There you. This mate, see, he's a pro.
Cool. You can actually move them too.
So, you've gone to the next level with the hemp and cannabis industry. You started out, you were interested in this, and then you took it to another level with helping other people find locations for primarily CBD stores.
It really was. And so it was about 4 years ago. Excuse me. It was about 4 years ago. I went to the CBD Expo in Indianapolis, and I was just curious about it. I was over at Landmark Commercial. I got a call from a guy. He says, "Hey, I'm looking for a CBD store location." And of course, the first thing I do is I Google, what the hell's a CBD store? What the hell's that? 4 years ago. So I went to the CBD Expo, and one of the first people I bump into is a booth, and they have 200 stores, and it's your CBD store. Well, I've been with them for 3 years as their national broker, and I think I've gone to at least 71 times this morning. 71 times in 42 states, and I found 1,000 square feet, Idaho, Alaska, Malibu, all these things. And I finally looked, I'm going to put a couple in Kansas. We're different though. Why? We're only one of 3 states with no cannabis laws. So the green rush is coming. As a store operator, what is really strategically your best move is to get ready for Delta 9, not just the Delta 8. Get ahead of it, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm doing right now, I've got 3 really great locations for your CBD store and a Cannabliss store. I've got one out at just north of the airport, out near Tallgrass, and downtown. We'll probably do 3 to 6 more before legislation comes, because flower to the people. If I could tell you how many people come into my stores with my girls in tears, the customers in tears, because they found it. They found their jam. They found industrial hemp and Delta 8 and how it's got to them off of Big Pharma. That's a great store to own.
It's gotten them off of Big Pharma, right? So let's talk about those, because those kind of anecdotal stories matter.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you get this with, some flash in the pan thing, like, oh, this water, they add this special thing and it's sold, late night television, that kind of thing. Oh, and or these orthotics, and it's kind of a flash in the pan, because they got it before. The one actually that comes to mind is the one Extend.
Oh yeah,
remember this? Or Extends.
Extends.
And that guy, I think, went to jail, but he's like, I don't care. You know the pile of loot I got? I'll get out of here and I'm going to Tahiti, baby.
Right, I'm gone.
I don't care. But this is not that, despite what the naysayers would want. This is a very older than humanity, or at least as old, as a product. And it was something that was, interestingly enough, in the United States of America, do you know, in the 1800s, who grew the most hemp?
George Washington.
Kansas.
Or Kansas did, yeah.
Kansas grew in 18. I had to look this up, and I try to do a little bit of research, but 1863, Kansas was the largest producer of industrial hemp crops in the country. Why? Because we grow things and we grow them very well.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, your connection for the products that come out of this, the stuff that grows out of the ground, grows in Kansas.
It does. And let me tell you, when I have a national brand of 550 stores, I have 2 of them in Wichita, I'm buying my hemp pre of this out of Oregon. Why would I do that? So I started taking the optics back, and I laid back and I said, you know what, I'm going to partner with my 3 Kansas farmers. I'm going to go with Green Acres in Scott City, Kansas. I'm going to go with Butler Hemp, and then I'm also going to go with Little River. These are all people who are putting out quality industrial hemp Delta 8 products, my best sellers. So really what I started to do, saying, I love this brand. I love the fact they're bougie stores. They're upper end. I can sell to my beautiful collegiate moms all day long. But I've got to get ready for cannabis to come.
Sure.
I've got to start preparing my stores. Hence comes the name Over Beers One Night of Cannabliss Store.
KANNBLISS.com.
We'll also
Terrific.
have Cannabliss Clinic. We've got that domain. But the bottom line right now, we're getting people who are trying to shuck that stigma of cannabis and not walk by my stores and go, girls, don't look, don't look. They're now coming in and going, okay, talk to me. Educate me why I need this. And when you have articulate, beautiful sales associates that go, here's what it's not, and here's what it is. Here's how you microdose to start with. I want to start you here. There's nobody else who's talking this language to the people of Kansas who know nothing about cannabis, right?
Yeah, and so there's so much more to this plant, and I just wish that people would understand it first as an agricultural product. I mean, that is Kansas. You can't. We are agriculture, right? It's kind of like the folks that get excited about wine, and then they go and they dig deep into and they go, this is really not about the fancy stemware and all that, and how the expensive bottle. It's the grapes and how they're grown. It's agriculture.
It is.
And so there's a special tie to the state of Kansas, and we should be leading in this space, not pulling it back.
I agree. And can you imagine having a brand where we support the Kansas farmers, that I am buying hemp from Kansas farmer? Do you know that Darren and Derek from Scott City come down almost in tears every week and say, here, thank you. Thank you for revitalizing the Kansas farmer, because we want to be, that's what I'm about. So all of a sudden I'm falling into this Cannabliss, beautiful stores, supports the Kansas farmer, my best-selling gummies from there, and I can't keep them in stock. Do you know how cool that is?
It's very cool. Yeah, it kind of, the supply chain, and if it's disrupted, it's just because your guys have to make it down I-70 little bit faster.
It is. It's great. Yeah.
What's your experience with it? Can you give us from the CBD perspective, right? So, or anything. Let's start this way, actually, Brett. Our bodies are inflamed, and it makes us feel bad. Now, it may just be an actual feeling in our tummy because we have something that we don't agree with, or we've got aches and pains, or it manifests itself as we're short with people at the grocery store line. Well, why is that? It's probably because we're irritated and agitated, and that's because of inflammation. So that exists, and everybody's trying to anti-inflame, and the pharmaceutical industry is huge in this.
Yes.
And in fact, they'll do stuff so big in the anti-inflammatory that they'll put it out there knowing full well it's going to kill motherfuckers.
I know.
It's called Vioxx. Right?
They don't care.
And they just paid $1 billion fine, and away they go. Which, by the way, that was a rounding error to how much they made on Vioxx. And I know and I'm sorry to even go down that road because it makes it this us versus them. And I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in, if you believe and your doctor believes and you've done the research and all on what is the best effective tool to reduce your inflammation, do what is best for you and your body. But don't remove things that are less harmful.
Yes.
Factually 100%.
Yes.
And if you go to government websites and you actually put in CBD or THC or cannabinoids as an inflammatory reduction, every article that's on there, and there's thousands of deeply researched articles, it says there's just not enough research. Well, why is that?
There's plenty of research out there. The thing is that Big Pharma and the FDA can't get their arms around it yet, so they're not able to taxize this thing. That's what it gets down to. But we're at a place right here, and I printed a couple of things out. 36 states allow medical marijuana. Kansas is only one of 3 states without a comprehensive medical or recreational marijuana program. That's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
And I want to tell you, I'm ashamed at that. And if you go down to it even more, let's talk about what's gone on in Topeka. We've been watching this cannabis bill move along. Cannabis bill has been kind of trucking right along. Then came the state grocery sales tax that's a little more sexy to get a politician's name on. Then you've got the same-sex sports going on here. Cannabis takes a bottom line. So now we're going to miss this session, and it looks like that. Here's the leading story this morning. Legalizing medical marijuana in Kansas seems to have stalled once again this year. Senate Bill 12, a joint plan from the House and Senate to legalize medical marijuana in the state, is still in committee. Good that it's in committee, right? But according to Mike Palmer, spokesman for the state leadership, it's not likely that it will be gaining traction when lawmakers return for one freaking day Monday and then call it a summer. Okay, so we're going to wait a little while longer. I'm not too because they put together this conference committee meeting of all the people and how they're going to form the bill. It's a good sign we're going to get it done. It's not if, it's now just when. So that makes me as a dispensary owner feel pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come, no question about it. Just like when we were having this conversation 10 years ago about gambling. And it's been many years ago, but 10 years ago, I think there was a fever pitch for it. And there are still people who made money online poker that cannot ever come back to the United States of America. And it's legal in every phone that we have.
Yeah.
And every app, by the way, every ad that I get now is about, here, sign up for this gambling site. And 10 years ago, you would have gone to jail, and you can't come back to the United States of America because this is nonsense. Okay. So from my perspective, and I want to talk more about the things that are important to you and to how cannabinoids and CBD and THC and this plant can help things. But from my perspective, this is really a matter of, again, the government is too big. And we need to put more of these things to a vote because let's talk about why they haven't passed this bill and it's in committee again. They passed it in the House last year in 2021 and the Senate never even looked at it.
Right.
Okay, well, we're going to play ping pong until it's way too late.
Yes.
And then we're going to miss the swing, the up curve, right? Except I don't believe that. And you're very intelligent to get ahead of that, Brett. But when you have these kind of draconian laws on the books, or any law for that matter, even if it's a good law, it requires enforcement, right?
It does.
So if you have a law that's a bad law, it still requires enforcement.
It does.
And then if people are going to push it, because let's take the folks in Kansas City who my wife has a cousin that lives like 30 feet from the border, and they're in Kansas, and right over there they can drive and they can buy it perfectly legally.
That's right.
And then they're going to break a massive law when they drive 300 yards back to their house. Right. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't.
But are they going to do it?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so now you're forcing people to break a law because they're going, this is stupid. Yeah. It's like, well, I shouldn't gamble because gambling's bad. I've been taught that my whole life, except everything that's in my feed on this little device in my hand is telling me sign up for their program.
Right.
So when is it okay?
Yeah. It has become a hot button. I mean, let's go back to it on what Derek Schmidt said. Derek Schmidt says, it's my opinion, Delta 8's illegal. And this is in Riley County, and it's up there. They had a CBD store raided. Rightfully so. He was carrying some Delta 9 regular THC stuff. Fine, that's what it is. But for Derek Schmidt to say, my opinion, well, it's an election year. It's a nice way to get your name in the headlines. It's also a nice way to make your fool out of yourself. And here's why. We've got a cannabis bill running already. And our district attorney even told me, he said, why would I do that? We've got a cannabis bill running right now. Why would I ban Delta 8? So what has that done for my 3 stores since Delta 8 was right now? My products are now on fire. Thank you, Derek.
It's good for business.
It's great for business.
Talking.
So I just said, keep putting it out there. And the other thing that we get so many people coming in when they say legal THC, they're all, okay, I need the story. So what is Delta 8? What is exactly Delta 8? How is it legal and what does it do to you? Here's the 10-second view, really quick. There's Delta 9, illegal THC, 9. The government comes out with the Farm Bill in 2018. Trump puts that out. It says there's no 9 coming out of industrial hemp. If you pull it out of industrial hemp, don't have any 9. It's the psychoactive stuff. Any cannabinoid you want, no problem. Synthesis come in and said, little brother Delta 8, here's what we have. And here's what it promises to deliver. About 50 to 60% of the lift or the high of Delta 9, no paranoia, no anxiety, euphoria feel, weed light. Entrepreneurs and athletes love it. And why is that? It's clear-headed. They can continue to work, but just lowering just a little bit. As a store owner 2 years ago, I'm all, bullshit, let me try it. Tried it. Delta 8 is this new thing that people now love, more so than 9, because 9 THC gives you tremendous amount of anxiety.
Well, it can.
It can if you don't microdose. But Delta 8, we're finding hard cannabis people now making that shift to 8. It's more convenient. It's here. It's from a Kansas farmer, but they're not getting punched in the face.
Sure. And that's important because I have made the joke that the first time I started drinking, I drank the whole bottle of Boone's Country Farm. This is not what you're supposed to do, right? Now, first of all, I was a teenager and I was dumb. This is the reason why you have Derek Schmidt. He's a conservative. He's running for governor. I hope he wins. He's just simply moving a little bit too far to appease that
That's right.
base. And it's like, dude,
And you
you
see
can
it.
do
You see it.
better than that
Yes.
if you come out ahead of it. But the problem is the political scientists, the strategists, the only science there is a political science. That's the reality these days. But anyway, I digress. The point of getting ahead of it by making such a bombastic statement makes you sound stupid,
It does.
foolish.
It does.
And people know better. And more people know better. So I think it's not just the pressure of 36 states have this on the books and we are one of 3 that don't. I think it's more about people going, I am reading this stuff. Yeah. This is not harming or harmful to my body. And like you said, athletes love it. Look, there was a phenomenal football player that retired because of concussions. I think it's Devin Hester.
Yep.
An amazing return guy, one of the best in the history of
fearless,
fearless, but just remarkable. And I think he retired with the Seattle Seahawks. And the NFL at the time was getting real harsh on marijuana use, and yet you'd give you a gum. A hole full of Loratabs and say,
no
take
problem.
as many as you want.
Knock yourself out.
And by the way, those guys are shooting themselves afterwards because that stuff will cause you to go down in a bad spiral. And it also just wrecks your body,
it
right?
Does.
Anyway, he got around it, and he finally, when he retired, said, there wasn't a game I ever played that I wasn't imbibing, I'll just say, from my perspective. But what he said, and I had to retire because I could no longer use it. I was eventually going to get my contract yanked. So I squeezed and maximized the money that I made, and then I'm out. But again, this is as dumb as the guy who's going to jail and can't come back to the United States because he had an online gaming 15 years ago. Right. This is silly.
It really is. It really is. The other thing I think it's been disappointing in this is watch what politicians have done and not done for this movement. I mean, you've got a 5th-generation farmer that's struggling up in Scott City right now. Why are you a politician like Ty Masterson? Where are you? I've got my buddy out here, the Coleman factory with their beautiful, and Sheldon's got a beautiful field of hemp, and he's into the business. Guess who's never been around? His neighbor, Ty Masterson. And this is the type of people we need right now to step up. And guess what Masterson did a month ago? And I've been in 100 fundraisers with him. He just backed off, didn't have an opinion, has hampered that bill. And that's my paid elected official out in Butler County. So it's people like that and Derek Schmidt and people like, where are all the farm people like Moran? Where are they right now supporting the farmers right now? They're quiet, which that's not the way to be. You know it.
It's not leadership.
It's not leadership.
Leadership is not easy, and it means you're going to have to take a hard stance.
Yes.
And Brett, it's why we do this podcast, because people can talk as openly as they want and as long as they want about something, so it's clear. And then hopefully there's some dialogue that it sort of urges on from other people.
Right.
And instead of little headlines in the newspapers and little things like, I'm against it because, I mean, these we can't manage life as complex as it is by sound bites and bumper stickers.
I love that. So I guess what we want to do
That
is,
sounded like a soundbite.
I loved it.
Can you extract that one?
Really, you need to save that one right there. And his pause after was awesome.
I've got the dramatic feel.
Has a pause.
Well, so, but I mean, think about it. And actually, let me take a different road.
Sure.
So many years that you had to be on the clock behind in a studio like this. Isn't this more, well, I don't know. Let me lead you. How do you feel about this medium and how many people are getting so much knowledge through a medium of podcasting as opposed to traditional radio, which still is phenomenal. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying it's a different way to get into deep issues.
It is. And I frankly like it. I do. I mean, if you think about it, I came to Wichita in '89 and bought 2 radio stations from Nancy Kassebaum. Wow. And I'm all, where
senator.
the fuck am I? What? And over beers down to the Broadway one night, I'm sitting there with my boss, and I said, okay, if I'm going to invest in this thing, what do we call it? Beechcraft, Boeing, Bombardier. I think we call it B98.
Beautiful.
So But and we had a heyday, 26 years for Brett and Tracy in the morning.
Yes.
It was a great time. Nothing like it now. I just got a space for iHeart off of NASCAR Park. They have 3 employees and no on-air live disc jockeys. Let me say that again. No on-air live disc jockeys for Kissin', B98, 107.3, 96.3. Tell me of that industry. They got a guy in there reading commercials.
Well, it tells you what happens when you don't embrace what's coming in the future.
Yeah.
To lead this back to our discussion about when you lag behind in something, you will be a dinosaur quickly.
And here's the thing. Local content and contesting doesn't matter to the iHearts or the big players. They don't care.
They don't care.
You know what? Here's the thing. This is really what disturbed me. That's the last thing I'm going to say about the radio industry, and that is, and I went out. Don Hall had a big memory with a memorial the other night with a bunch of the DJs. Here's the thing. If there's catastrophic tornado ripping through Andover tomorrow night, there's no radio stations other than maybe one that's going to be on talking about it. That's a disservice to this community. When we used to have tornadoes and stuff the bus and people, and we were immersed in that, and it's gone. That industry is forever changed. And I was grateful to be in a ride from that for so long. I loved it. But to answer your question, this is what somebody said to me. Hey, Brett, you're going to make a great commercial broker because if you can communicate, you can real estate.
Now there's a soundbite right there. I love it.
And I said, okay. So I did 71 deals for franchise stores. I met 3 of them. Wow. Personally met 3 of them. Everything's over the phone. Everything's over text. I got a setup for you in Malibu. It's the Malibu Center. John, go ahead and go out there. You meet the broker. You like it. There's the rate. Get the lead. If you can communicate, you can real estate.
Awesome.
I'm going to take my communication skills in about a month and start talking on air about cannabis.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad that we can continue to have that conversation on the ICT podcast, but Cannabliss, KANNABLISS.com.
Right.
By the way, your journalism hasn't left you. Speaking of the tornado, we're in Kansas and we have tornadoes from time to time. And apparently they all go from the southwest to the northeast. That's standard. But in the exact same path in the border of Sedgwick and Butler County down Kellogg or 54 from you national folks. And you are a photojournalist. You live about 2 miles, mile and a half from where it started. And it's so funny. I saw it on Instagram, I believe.
Did you?
And it's in 3 different. And so it's like, oh, that's nothing. Look at it. And it's beautiful. Yeah, it's up in the sky, and it looks
back porch. I'm on my back porch. I'm having a whiskey, and the sirens go out. And then I go to my front of my house, and there's my neighbor, right?
And you guys say something like, oh, that's nothing. That's not even an F1.
Right, yeah.
And then, like, as it progresses,
Yeah.
here it says...
Right? I think it's small enough. It's just gonna.
Yeah, I'm a meteorologist.
Oh, it's no big deal.
It's a rope.
It hasn't even touched the ground. It's actually just.
It's me and my neighbor.
Yeah, we're fine. Pour another whiskey.
Right.
And about 5 minutes after that...
Look at the dust. That's still.
But yeah, watch the next video as it goes across Teradyne. Look at the size of that sucker.
Oh, boy.
Come this way.
Yeah,
So it's on top of the Y by then.
yeah.
Look at the size of that thing coming out of it. Andover Road.
Okay.
Probably just beyond that, we're at Teradyne, 159th shooting east.
See? This is a journalist right here.
Right. I was doing.
Also hear the sound.
I was doing my Dan Dillon.
What you did a great
Did
job
I do
with
okay?
that. Absolutely.
I'm Dan Dillon.
That's your
I'm Dan Dillon and the tornado. I kind of morphed back into it, you know. But
well, no, but I love that you did it because you were in the perfect vantage point.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, it's no big deal. Well, it's getting bigger. Oh shit.
in a matter of seconds,
Yeah.
that's nothing. We're in trouble. Run.
Yeah. And you know what? Thank God nobody died.
Yeah, I know.
And thank God we had no major. This is actually probably the best part about social media because this is, to my knowledge, the first major tornado we've had with everybody handing on their device with whatever their favorite social media app is. And so we saw Brett Harris telling us this and we went, oh, okay, you know what? This is a real big deal. We should probably...
They're calling it, It's true. The most photographed tornado in the history.
Wow.
In the history.
That's probably true.
And it's true. And I'm not sure to be, for my Andover people, ashamed or proud. Does that mean we always have our phones out? I'm all,
but that's remarkable. And I
Isn't
hope
it?
that picked up at least a little bit. Maybe we'll share some of your photos when we drop this episode. But it is a beautiful spectacle because it's crazy what it looks like, and it's ominous, and that thing has some serious power, and it did rip apart the Andover YMCA. And folks, if you don't understand the YMCA complex in the greater Wichita area, it is the best in the country. And that's not hyperbole, and it's because these buildings are fortresses. And it was remarkable to see how destroyed the south side of that building got. Again, nobody got hurt. And thank you for your photojournalism. That was fun. And thanks for sharing your perspective on the communication side of things. And I think that what's neat about this is, we started this as an entrepreneurial podcast. You're an entrepreneur. You came here, you buy a business, and you grow that business 25 plus years of, honestly, it's ubiquitous. Brett and Tracy. Everybody across so many generations knows that. This young man to my right, even knows who Brett and Tracy are. But I mean, growing up, that's what mom's listening to in the morning.
Wonderful.
It was amazing.
Wonderful.
But now you take that entrepreneurial and you use those skills in such a phenomenal way to continue to lead and push something forward that deserves to be there. Look, we're not telling everybody you must use this.
Right. We're not.
We're saying, can you let people discover how this might work in their own bodies?
Right. Right. And that's what it is. And it's time to get back to my state of Kansas, because I've been doing stores everywhere else in America. And I like doing that. But guess what I told them last week? I'm going to kind of slow down. Here's another broker you can use to site find. Why? It's time to focus on our residents of Kansas who have tried everything. Do you know when someone walks into my store at Ridge Road over by McAllister's that we just opened up, the first thing that Tori says, "What's going on? What's going on?" You're sitting down to a therapy session. They're at the end of their rope. They're at the end of their rope. And when Tori says, "Tell me what's going on. What's happening?" People, I haven't slept in 3 days. I cannot. There are people coming in. I had an elderly lady at the Tallgrass store a month ago. She shuffled in with a mask, and very, very, very big lady, and happy as what can be. She says, "I haven't slept in 4 days." And I said, "I'm going to give you this. This is a 2-pack of 50 milligram industrial hemp gummies. Why don't you take one tonight?" Whatever. She came back in tears and said, "Holy crap." That's the type of people we're trying to change right now. With what? With naturally grown industrial hemp from a Kansas farmer.
Well, are the folks in Scott City, are they on Instagram, by the way?
Yes.
Can we say, okay, what are, under what?
Green Acres Farm. Green Acres Farm.
So people go look them up, because that's another part that it will start to take away the, what is this? When we hear something about a pharmaceutical and it's controversial, when you start to look at that, hell, even the commercials, they look like what is going on at Green Acres for the commercial, but behind the scenes is nothing like that. And so this truly is a representation of, this is beautiful, healthy plants that can fix you and will help you. And, my vegan friends that are so nuts about their vegan diets, guess what? 90% of them are so healthy because they're considering something as opposed to just eating whatever the hell comes their way. And that's what your experience, whether you choose it or not, to help your inflammation or your anxiety, your lack of sleep. If you choose to go down the road of looking at cannabinoids, looking at CBD, THC, or whatever, do what Brett's saying. Get someone who really understands how this works. Communicate your symptoms completely. Don't just say, "Give me this, give me that," because your experience is not going to be good. And if your experience isn't good, you're not going to do it again. No. And so, I actually have people that say, "Hey, I tried that CBD. It don't work for me."
And that's that.
Well, when'd you do it?
That's right.
I took it once, didn't do anything.
Yeah.
That's not, because we're conditioned to take the pill, and then it gives us this immediate feeling.
Right.
This is a dietary substance.
It is.
More so than it is. I don't call this a drug at all.
No. No, a lot of people have come to our stores and said, "Hey, try Delta 8. Yeah. Where'd you get it?" "Oh, I got it at the gas station." "Oh, okay." You got at the gas station. Did you ask them any
Along
questions?
with my mini thins that all the truckers are slamming to keep them wiping. Their pupils are as big as the Mickey Mouse cartoons, you know?
So we get that a lot. You've tried it? Okay. So did you know what was the milligram of the gummies? Have no idea. Oh, okay, great. Okay. So did you talk to the person, what have you? And I almost jack with people at liquor stores now. Are those Delta 8? I'm not, yeah, they are. Do you know the milligrams of those things? Okay. Where's it derived from Kansas? They're clueless.
They're like, dude, I don't know.
I just
Whiskey's over there, beer's over
beer's
there.
over there. And so I think right now you're working on that misconception. Then you're also working on the one person who tried cannabis back when they were 20. And I tried it. I had the worst time of all time. Well, why? I ate 5 gummies and I'll never do it again. You didn't microdose. If you had someone who would just sit you down and say, this will take your edge off without being nauseous, without being miserable, you're going to be in a very good homeostasis, a great place. But people have that one experience like your Boone's Farm and will never drink Boone's Farm again.
That's right. Yeah, because you puked and you used it wrong. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But that's honestly, there's something important about staying away from things, kids, and I'm talking about anyone under the age of 24.
Yeah.
Stay away as long as you can. Alcohol is so bad for you young people.
It is.
It's so bad. Yes, old idiots. Well, what we've actually figured out is how to enjoy this one whiskey drink that you're having while you're watching the tornado, instead of, taking shots. Like I love when you go to the airport and they're like, do you want a whiskey backer with that? I'm like, what? Who the hell do you think I am? 19 at the University of Arizona? No.
Right.
Like, relax. This is not what this is for.
Yeah.
Be responsible with these substances. But people who have had bad experiences, they don't even know where to go for the good experience.
I know.
And they're kind of, I guess, probably embarrassed a little bit about, I don't know what this is and who do I ask? And in most cases, you can't ask your doctor because they don't even want to have the conversation.
They don't. They're not ready to have the cannabis. Oh, I guess you could have that. Why not talk to somebody who is like a dosing nurse, who's a cannabis nurse that we will have, and someone who can actually sit down with you and say, according to your body fat and what have you, you want to start here. Nobody is giving this message right now. They are on the coasts. They are in the medical cannabis worlds. But my goal is to get these dispensaries multiplied, Hutchinson, Derby, Wichita, where we have compassionate people ready to sit down with you and take our time. We're not there to sell you anything. We want to get you to a better place. And I think having a compassionate, clean, bougie, upper end dispensary is happening with cannabis.
Yeah, they're a hell of a lot more like Starbucks than seriously.
Yeah.
But your point is well taken with, oh, hey, I want to do something bad. So when I leave the Shop Quick Mart, I'll reach into this canister and, and do you remember there was synthetic marijuana that was quote unquote legal.
Oh, yeah.
10 years ago, and it was killing people.
Remember? Paraquat and all that stuff.
Well,
Remember
these are bad. If you're going to do bad things, I honestly consult somebody before you do it. But this is not a recreational as much as it is. It is going to improve your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't sleep at night, it only manifests itself larger and larger. It magnifies, boom, 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 boom. And so one of the things that was a successful drug early on for people who were dying from COVID early on is they were prescribing an antidepressant. Did you know this?
I heard something like that.
And it was an anti-anxiety. Mm-hmm. You're going, why the hell was that part of the equation? It's not helping your respiratory because you're not panicking.
Yeah.
So when you're not panicking, your body's not trying to go find out what the hell are we panicking about, and your heart races and your lung capacity is all that kind of stuff.
Everything shuts down. Yeah.
Everything shuts down at that point. So, like, why do we teach people to meditate or prayer or whatever you want to call that, or in breathing exercises? Because we know factually this is going to lead to a better life if you want that. And it's a little bit more difficult than what we're coming out of, and I believe we're coming out of that, which is just whatever your doctor says, take the pill and shut up and don't worry about all the other stuff that actually requires a little bit of thought and participation.
Right. I think you talk the truth there. The the other thought process is how do we battle the stigma of CBD cannabis to Arkansans who are deathly afraid of it, and wrongfully so? It's educating. It really is educating. It's educating professionally, and me getting in front of group speaks and what that's coming. But it's getting your store associates to say, hey, what is going on? Have you ever tried this in a different atmosphere that doesn't look like a head shop?
Yeah. That's, and see, again, that's what's important. And that's why I say it's like a Starbucks, because it's fun to have the vagabond, right? Somebody the other day said the vagabonds are best. You can start your day out there and end your day there, and the drinks just keep
going.
Go from coffee to whiskey, baby. But and that's cool. We like that. We like that kind of atmosphere, but we don't like that atmosphere every day. Yeah. Nothing against you, vagabond. That's not what I'm saying. It's when you're having an experience where you go get your cup of coffee and you understand how it's going to go, and it's very routine, it's standardized. That's the kind of experience that you want with a very highly trained professional person, and that's just stinking coffee. So you do need someone who can advocate for you based on what's going on in your life. When did you have a first experience with the CBD side that you said, okay, this is part of my life from now on?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When did I say, beyond becoming a broker, when did I say I want to become a store owner? It probably was going to the first owners meeting maybe 3 years ago and watching these stores do 30,000 a week. And first of all, you always look at it as a businessman, you're all, holy crabs. These guys have award-winning, beautiful people, beautiful stores. I got to start doing this. Let's do this. I think that was it when I first got into a franchise store. There's a dude I have in St. Louis. He has 5 stores. He plays golf all day. all day, every day. That's wonderful. And I said, I want to play golf someday. But there was one thing that I think that really pissed me off. And somebody said something in my broker's office. And I really, it's a competing broker. And I was talking about cannabis a year ago. And he said, hey, be very careful what you attach your name to. And I stuck back and I went, like this? Steve was just like that. Be very careful. You're known in this community. And I said, after that, I just marinated. I didn't say anything to him there. But I want to touch myself. This is who I am.
Of course.
I'm a Northern California kid that grew up in Sonoma County, watching at 12-year-old my mom enjoy cannabis with her friends across the lawn. I've been around cannabis for years and years, and I want to be known for this, more so than radio. Why? Because I want to find 5 people this week that find relief, right? Isn't that what it's about? But
yes.
When he said that to me, you just said, what lit my fuse? Somebody said, be very careful what you attach your name to.
Yeah, that person was afraid of your potential and current success and future success. And that happens. And we know that you remember Harvey McKay wrote a book called Swimming with the Sharks.
Yes.
It's business is full of sharks, and you have to be aware of that. Like, see, we don't have a warning label on going into business. And yet there's this pushback on things that are not harmful to someone's body, and you're going to eliminate that. I just don't understand why the control mechanism, but that's for another show.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, here's another thing I want to do. I want to create jobs. I mean, if you look at Missouri, they've created over 40,000 jobs right now with their cannabis program going on. I'm all about it. I've got girls and a couple guys in my store right now that want to be a bud tender, an educator, and want to be a cannabis consultant.
Bud tender.
Do you like that?
Love it.
I know. They want to be, and this is their career because they want to communicate. They want to help. They have that empathy button. And so what I want to do, God, could it be cool to employ 30 people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would it be cool to do that? Would it be cool to have these chain of beautiful stores around Kansas that do one thing? Focus on that Kansas farmer, not me. Focus on them. Because Green Acres Farms in Scott City is ready to flip cannabis. They're ready to go. All my farms right now I'm partnering with. So I'll be dealing with the same vendors, but I guess I'm getting down to it on a jobs created too. And Brett, if you look at that also gets me excited.
Yeah, and it should. I mean, it's why you're an entrepreneur and not just a business owner.
Yeah,
because an entrepreneur wants to see how big can we grow this pie. What's an abundant future look like, as opposed to, no, I want to play golf all day, so I'm going to control when I get to flip the sign from open to close. And so that means you want to employ more people and then empower them to perhaps start their own journey, which is a multiplying effect for all of us. And it's a better way. I said this to a friend of mine the other day, and I don't think he knew what the hell I was talking about, but I really, truly do believe the more people that choose an entrepreneurial path, we are going to have a more relatable, calm, with all the things that we want, equity, diversity, inclusion, all that, that's going to happen more the more entrepreneurs there are out there, because you're forced to communicate. You know, if you can communicate, you can realistically, you can do any of that
You can do any of
stuff.
that. You can do any of that.
And we have a mutual incentive to do the best I can. I'm going to collaborate with you, Brett Harris, on I grow this product, and you're going to bring it to market. And so we have this mutually beneficial relationship, and so therefore that collaboration is a good thing, and we relate to each other better. And oh, by the way, I'm going to talk to you about this person, this person, this person.
Yeah,
that's a little bit better than, hey, I just saw HR because apparently I said the wrong thing when I walked down the hall, or I'm wearing the wrong color of skirt today, or whatever. I don't even know, right? I mean, you're not managing the performance outcomes of whatever your business does, and the bigger the corporation gets.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you've said it all.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, that and the other big companies. But it will be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see how the legislation goes on. But I'm very comfortable. Powering my stores right now will be Delta 8 until we get to the 9, and until then we'll just be educators to go through, and that's what's going to be a fun thing.
And it is very important to educate people.
Yeah.
Just to give people a little context on this, marijuana is a Schedule I drug.
Yes.
Adderall is not.
Oh my God.
Benzodiazepine, which that's Xanax for all you folks out there.
Sure.
Whoever goes, just pop a Xanny. Like, we're making jokes about that across the board. And, oh, where'd you get it? I don't know. A friend of mine had, several of them. And I mean, that's illegal, by the way.
Yeah.
What that is. But it's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to kick a benzodiazepine.
You can't.
Jordan Peterson, who I think is a incredibly remarkable thinker, whether you like him or hate him, and my friend to my right just thinks he's too downtrodden, but he's actually incredibly inspiring when you dig deep into what he is saying, because it's about individual responsibility.
Right.
But as I digress, here's a man who is preaching individual responsibility and is incredibly intelligent, highly intelligent, and work ethic like none other, and he got hooked for over a 2-year period. And it's a very public battle with this pharmaceutical because he needed a little help through some time that was difficult in his life. Well, we all have that, right? We're all fragile. We're all capable of going that way. I just had the folks on from Mirror Inc. that do incredible things with addiction, and addiction is a real thing for all of us.
You bet it is.
So what you put in your body, it matters, because if you put something in there that's highly addictive and is going to, maybe not today, maybe not next year, but at some point in the 5, 10, 15 years down the road is going to make your life worse, it's either pay now or pay later.
That's right.
And I think you need to be more individually responsible, because these are bad things that can harm you terribly, that are pharmaceutical. And by the way, I'm not against the pharmaceutical industry. Again, I want to say this is not, it's either this way or that way.
Right.
It's, let's give everybody the opportunity, but stop shutting down areas that are factually going to help people in the future.
I agree.
So do you believe that we are going to be forced here in Kansas? Because HB 2244, that's where commercial hemp was legalized. And then last year, and you went through the whole thing. Brad, is it going to be, because look, we have a Democrat who runs the state today. You would think that would have been done already.
I know.
Right?
So here's
we're going to get a Republican.
Yeah.
And I mean, it ain't going to work.
Well, I think it is, because here's the problem you're going to have up against. We're one of the 3 last states. The taxation dollars that this state could miss out on potentially with a national medical cannabis law, which Biden's been throwing around a little bit off that get me reelected, I'll make it national. That could come. Guess who's out of that tax
That's about all
dollars?
he's got to get
That's about all he's got, really.
reelected.
Guess who gets out of that tax dollars? We do. Last year, there was $42 million in Oklahoma fed to the school system from cannabis taxation. we got to get our asses together.
Yes.
I mean, whether or not you're a fan of my CBD, Delta 8, or cannabis stores, we need money for our schools and our teachers. Whether you like that recreational plant or not.
Let people make their own choices, folks. Yeah. Like the control. You don't have to do it, but don't keep other people from trying to do something.
That's right.
Fair?
Fair. Fair.
And guess what? The government is this isn't a little story that I want to tell. I went on a ride along in Wichita in 2013. I'd never done it before. Heard lots of good things about it. And most of which is you'll hate it. It'll be so boring because nothing will happen. Well, something did happen. There was a shooting, and it actually shut the ride along down because they haul everybody down to City Hall, right? When that happens.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And now it's an investigation. But
wow.
We started the night out probably 5 o'clock, so the sun is still shining, and we're driving down North Broadway, and it's a tougher part of town. Was much tougher in 2013, right. Not as much so today because Wichita is thriving in every way. And I said, we went by this kind of seedy motel, and because the owner of the hotel, not even the owner, the person who was working behind this was complaining about a funny smell coming from one of their rooms. And so, I was allowed to walk 10 feet behind, and we went in the room, and he complained, and all it was is some people smoking marijuana. They're not in there anymore, right? But it is a seedy motel, man. Right. I'm telling you, this improved the place. And they had an old tin can, an old aluminum can, and so there was ashes and an old can and a lighter, I believe. Anyway, the woman. Very young woman who was an incredibly professional police officer. She did her job very well, and she took the statement. She wrote up the report. We get back in the car 35 minutes later, and I said, what's the most challenging thing as a police officer from doing the hard work of keeping us safe and stopping crime? And she said, what we just did. Yeah. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, so that was nothing. There was nothing going on there. There was nothing harmful. No one was in immediate danger. There was nothing wrong. This guy was mad because he smelled marijuana smoke, and these people probably weren't paying for the room. If they were, it was hourly, whatever. And she said, I have to write the same report for this as if we had like a violent crime go down. Okay, so I have to spend as much time and energy on this nothing incident. And I said, are you saying that you want marijuana legalized? And she said, well, if you decriminalized it, it would solve a lot of problems, mainly the resources. These are resources. The police that are on the ground are resources to our community. It makes our community better. And the more those resources can go towards violent crime and people that are going to do bad things like go stealing everything from a store because they think they can get away with it, just all that stuff, this terrible nonsense. We got to put the resources where those resources are best used. Yeah. Did the
decriminalization national bill that came down, what is it, the Hope bill, huge amount of people who are going to be, the amount of people that are incarcerated right now for cannabis around America is staggering. It's staggering right now. And I'm glad at least we're heading in that direction right now. They're expunging a lot of people, but you're exactly right, Brandon. Our officers can't be chasing down a bag of weed and put it on top of the car. There's bigger fish to fry right now. That's a taxpayer's police officer that we're paying. We can't have him chasing. Oh, I found a roach. That's not what my dad, the policeman, wanted to do.
So I want people to consider this instead of making a quick, I need to be on one side or the other, some binary nonsense approach. I want people to think more about these look, is this going to harm me? Is it going to harm my community? Mm-hmm. No. It's probably going to improve. Do I have to agree with it? No, but we don't have to agree with each other on most things.
No.
But that's the best part of the United States of America is we don't have to agree and we can still do certain things.
Right.
Okay. So I'm so pleased that you're willing to take your communication skills and put it in this area because it's going to require people that have the ability to share the right message and listen to people as opposed to just saying it needs to be this way. Or in my opinion, it's bad.
Yeah.
That whole nonsense, it doesn't work when we just say this is the way it is and we're going to dig our boot heels in despite the evidence in front of us.
Do you know how many times I go to speak about cannabis or go to the chamber meetings or I talk about CBD and how many doctors or people who are of our community you and I have run with for years will go, Psst, Brett, come here for a second. I'm on your side. What do you need from me?
Stop whispering.
Exactly right. I'm Dr. Galicia. What do you need? Dr. Galicia shops my stores.
Great.
So Jody, everybody, I mean, all the doctors are now coming together and figuring just like what you and I are saying. There's not a stigma to attaching this beautiful Kansas grown flower to your name. And that's what we're doing right now. And so, yeah, maybe some listeners who listened to Brett and Tracy for 20 years are going to say, he's a pothead. I don't like him anymore. That's the risk I'll take. That's a risk I'll take. But I just want to tell you, if you walk into one of my dispensaries and into Cannabis or your CBD store, you're going to get it.
I'm so happy you're doing it. Congratulations on the next level, the next iteration of Cannabis. And you expect to have 3, 4, 5 more stores. You're gonna have 3 stores for sure. You got
3 are
one
up
open,
now.
right? 3 are open already.
So Cannabis is open up on Ridge Road.
And in Hutchinson.
I'm looking Hutch, Derby, Great Bend, Lawrence, Manhattan.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
So we're they're already saturated right now, but I can tell you what nobody else is doing, and you can copy me if you own a CBD store, even the one next door here. You're not supporting the Kansas farmer.
Interesting.
I'm going to walk in when I get out of the studio, put a piece of tape over this, and say, anything derived from the state of Kansas? No, not really. Okay.
Yeah.
That's important to me.
It should be, but that's, again, people can do whatever they want, and that's okay. Their doors are open, and good for them.
Yes.
Here's the value I'm bringing. And Brett Harris, you bring us tremendous value, and I'm grateful that you come on the ICT podcast and talk about your latest ventures, but also the candor that you possess. So thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you.
Cannabliss.com, KANNABLISS.com. Brett Harris, thanks for being on the ICT podcast.
Thanks, buddy.
Make it a great one.